You know that feeling when you're just trying to live your life, minding your own business, and suddenly a pack of strangers shows up acting like they own your world? That was me, 3 days into moving into my new Placia Cliffside house in Crescent Bay, California. The kind of place you'd see in a movie, all glass and steel with the Pacific stretching out forever. I'm hauling in a net full of mackerel from my beat-up old boat. The salty dawn, at 5:30 in the morning, salt in the air, fog curling around the cliffs like it's hiding secrets when I hear it. The sharp click of high heels on my dock, followed by a voice that could curdle milk. You there! Drop that filthy net and explain why you're trespassing on this property. I turn around, still gripping the net, fish flopping against the wood. And there she is, Margaret Voss, Queen Bee of the Crescent Bay Homeowners Association, flanked by 6 suits who look like they've never touched dirt in their lives. Margaret's maybe 50, hair so blonde it's practically glowing, dressed in a cream suit that probably cost more than my boat. She's clutching a leather folder like it's a court order, her nails tapping like she's already won. Behind her, there's this posse, 3 guys in matching blazers, 2 women glued to their phones, and an older dude checking his watch like he's late for a yacht party. They're all staring at me like I'm some kind of dock rat who wandered into their gated paradise. Excuse me, I say, wiping my hands on my jeans, the ones already crusted with salt. Trespassing? I live here. Bought this place 3 weeks ago. Margaret laughs a sharp, nasty sound, like she's practicing for a villain role. You? Own this house. This is a $10 million estate, son. You expect me to believe a fisherman with a rust bucket boat can afford this? She waves at my boat, the salty dawn, like it's an insult to her entire existence. Now, don't get me wrong, me boat's seen better days. 25 years of hard work etched in her hull. But she's mine, paid off with sweat and salvage jobs, just like this house. I set the net down, careful not to let the fish slip back into the water, and try to keep my cool. Look, lady, I don't know what your deal is, but I've got the deed, the papers, everything. You're on my dock. Maybe you should explain why you're here at dawn acting like you run the place. Her eyes narrow, and I swear I can see her brain try and process someone like mechalozed hands, faded flannel, half Japanese, half Irish, born in Tacoma, not bowing down to her. This estate, she says, voice dripping with venom, is a cornerstone of Crescent Bay. It belongs to the community, not some drifter. We have documents proving it was meant to be a heritage site. That's when I notice one of the women behind her, phone up, recording the whole thing. Good. Let's make this official. Show me these documents, I say, crossing my arms. Margaret thrusts a paper at me, all official looking with a fancy seal, claiming the previous owner, Walter Grayson, signed the house over to the HOA before he died 6 months ago in a freak boating accident. Problem is, I knew Walter. He wasn't just some rich guy, was my mentor, the man who taught me how to read the ocean, how to find wrecks nobody else could. And he never would have handed his house to these vultures. Walter didn't sign that, I say, handing the paper back. And I know, because he sold this place to me. The group bursts out laughing, like I just told the world's worst joke. Margaret's practically wheezing. You? Walter Grayson's friend? A man who dined with senators? Please, you're squatting, and the police are already on their way. I smile because here's the thing, she doesn't know who she's dealing with. I'm not just a fisherman. I spent 10 years in naval intelligence, tracking smugglers and fraudsters, before going private as a maritime investigator. This house, I bought it with cash from a salvage job Walter, and I worked to get a sunken ship from 1650, loaded with silver, found 50 miles off the coast. But I don't tell her that. Not yet. The cops show up, 2 of them, led by Sergeant Lopez, a no-nonsense woman who looks like she's seen it all. Margaret pounces, waving her fake document. Officer, this man's illegally occupying this estate. He's a squatter. I hand Lopez my paper's deed, title, proof of sale, all legit. She scans them, then looks at Margaret. These check out. County seal, filing numbers, all in order. Unless you've got something better, you're the ones trespassing. Margaret's face goes from smug to scarlet. This is outrageous. Walter promised this house to the community. Lopez raises an eyebrow. Got that in writing. Silence. The HOA posse starts shuffling, looking anywhere but at me. I wave them off. No charges, just get off my dock. Margaret storms away, hissing, "This isn't over, Mr. Tanaka." But it's not just about me. See, Walter warned me about Margaret years ago, over beers on this very dock. She's a shark, he'd said, eyes on the horizon. Runs the HOA like her personal empire, finds people in a bankruptcy, forces them to sell cheap so her developer buddies can swoop in. He wasn't wrong. Later that day, I find a safe in Walter's old study, hidden under the floorboards. The combination? The date we found that ship 09-12-19. Inside, there's a stack of papers that make my stomach drop. Photos of Walter's boat. Whole tampered with, bank records showing payments from Margaret to a guy named Victor Slade, and a contract for a luxury condo project on this land, signed before Walter's death. I'm still processing this when my phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. You're in over your head. Back off. Local area code. Someone's watching. Then I hear engines, not cars, but boats, pulling up to my dock like they own it. A guy jumps out, badge flashing, calling himself a Crescent Bay Marina inspector. His name's Carl Voss, Margaret's cousin. I later learned from her social media. He's got a clipboard full of fake citations. Illegal mooring, unsafe vessel, you name it. That's $5,000 a day in fines, he smirks. I pull out my phone, already recording. Funny, Carl, because there's no such thing as the Crescent Bay Marina Authority. And that badge? Looks like you printed it at Kinko's. His face goes pale when I mention his family Christmas photos with Margaret. He's gone before I can dial Lopez. That night, I team up with Elena Ruiz, a neighbor and retired ATF agent who's been on a Margaret for years. She's tough as nails, 60s, with a stare that could make a smuggler confess. We dig through Walter's files and find a pattern. Margaret's been targeting residents for years, hitting them with fines for nonsense like unapproved mailbox colors until they break and sell. Then her pal Victor, a shady developer, buys low and flips the land for millions. Walter's death? No accident. The files show payments to Victor right before his boat went down. We need proof, something undeniable. So we set a trap. Victor's meeting Margaret on his yacht, the King's Gambit, 10 miles offshore in international waters, thinking they're untouchable. My boat, the Salty Dawn, looks like junk, but under the rust, she's a beast military-grade sonar, laser mics, even a drone disguised as a gull. Elena and I head out under cover of fog, the kind that swallows the coast hole. We anchor half a mile from Victor's yacht, and my laser mic picks up everything. Margaret's voice crackles through. This Tanaka's trouble. He's got Walter's files. We need him gone like Walter. Victor laughs, all gravel and whiskey. Accidents happen. House fire, maybe? Faulty wiring in those old Cliffsides. My blood runs cold. They're planning to torch my place. Elena's already calling her old ATF contacts, but I know we're too far from shore for help to arrive in time. I fire up the Salty Dawn's real engine's 250 horsepower, hidden under the rattling facade, and we tear through the fog at 28 knots, the hull screaming. My phone lights up with security alerts. Motion sensors tripped, a window broken at the house. Someone's inside. I call an old buddy, Jake, a former SEAL who owes me for finding his dad's lost boat. Jake, I need you at my place now. Arsonists. He's there in 6 minutes with his crew, moving like ghosts. By the time we hit the dock, they've got 2 guys pinned, gasoline cans spilled across my living room. Elena's got her gun out, barking, ATF freeze. One guy lunges. I drop him with a chokehold from my Navy days. The other tries to bolt, but Jake's team is faster. The cops and feds swarm in, followed by news vans catching Margaret's meltdown as she's cuffed, her perfect suit ruined, screaming about her rights. Victor's yacht gets nabbed by the Coast Guard. Turns out it's a floating drug den. The feds unravel a decade-long scheme. Margaret and Victor ran a murder-for-profit racket, targeting homeowners across 5 states, staging accidents to free up land for development. Walter was just one of their victims. Crescent Bay changes after that. Elena takes over the HOA, scraps every shady fine, and opens the books. Families Margaret drove out come back, folks like the Limps, who sold under duress when their kid's bike was deemed an eyesore. The community garden replaces Margaret's planned VIP parking lot. The beach she wanted to gate off now hosts free surf lessons for kids. Me? I'm still here in Walter's house still tying the Salty Dawn to the dock, though I've polished her up a bit. Turns out, I'm not just a fisherman. I consult for insurance companies, sniffing out fraud on the high seas, using my boat's tech to catch crooks who think they're slick. But I fish too. Keeps me grounded. Standing on my dock now, watching the sunset paint the water gold, I think about Walter. He knew Margaret would come for this place, so he sold it to Miss Sumione. She'd underestimate, someone who'd fight. He left me his files, his trust, his mission, and we won. But it makes me wonder how many other Margarets are out there, hiding behind HOA rules or fake smiles, preying on people just trying to live? What's the craziest thing your neighbors or HOA ever pulled on you? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear your stories, where you're from, and how you dealt with it. Because sometimes all it takes is one person to stand up, call out the lies, and remind everyone what a real community looks like. Hit that like button if you're with me, and subscribe so you don't miss the next time someone picks a fight with the wrong fisherman.